Yo, I've been getting this question quite a bit recently, especially over on Instagram, because I've got a bunch of new followers over the past month, so thank you for that. But it is, how do you structure your dry fire and how do you actually use your dry fire to get better? And I think you can kind of structure it like two different ways. I'll go into the way I like first, best, and then, or the way I like best first, and then another way after that. But the way I like to structure my dry fire is like time based blocks, right? So I'm going to work on one specific thing for like 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to hyper focus on that one thing. So I'll set up a drill, right? Say I'm working on vision, I'll set up designated target. And I'll do designated target where I'm hyper focused on my vision for 10 minutes. And then I will say I want to work on my grip after that. Next drill, right? I will do reps for 10 minutes, hyper focused on my grip, and so on and so forth, right? Throughout the course of my dry fire session, I'll do little blocks where I focus on a different fundamental for 5 to 10 minutes. The other way you could do it is instead of time based blocks, you could do rep based blocks. You're like, all right, I'm going to do 50 reps where I'm focused on vision, and then I'm going to do 50 reps where I'm focused on grip, and then I'm going to do 50 reps where I'm focused on structure or whatever it may be, whatever fundamental you want to work on. I think those are like the two best ways you are going to be able to structure your dry fire and get the most out of it, because you can only really focus and like work on one thing at a time, especially in dry fire, because you have to be so aware and very critical of every little thing that is happening in your reps. Like, you have to be your biggest hitter in dry fire. You have to be very analytical of like, if I'm working on grip, any little pressure change, any little movement, any sympathetic movement when I pull the trigger, anything is a major fault. And like, you have to be aware of like that happening. The other thing I'll say is your dry fire should be like intense, right? To the point where you are making the mistakes. Like, you want it to replicate your live fire as close as possible. So like for trigger press, for example, people are like, oh, my grip is good, but then you'll see them, they'll just pull the trigger like this in dry fire. Super soft. Nah, you need to be pulling it like 2 to 3 times harder than it would to actually like go off in live fire and your dry fire, right? So that way you can try to replicate what's happening in your live fire as close as possible. So you should be like hammering on it, right? Finger all the way off the trigger and roll it on hard. So like, this is probably like, I don't know, 3 pounds on this Kimber. I'm rolling on like 9 pounds, like more than I would to set off my Glock. And I'm coming all the way off and all the way on to try to replicate what my live fire is doing and induce mistakes, right? And the key is you want to fix your mistakes at the speed and intensity of where they're happening. Slowing down or like going softer, you likely won't be making the same mistakes you are when you're like actually going faster or hammering on it. So it doesn't really work for fixing mistakes, right? Because you're not making them in the first place. So that's the other part of dry fires. You have to go fast enough to where you're inducing mistakes and then fix the mistakes at that speed. And then if you're like, oh, I'm not making any mistakes, one, you're going too slow, or you're just not aware of what's happening, right? The other thing that people often ask me is, how long do you dry fire? And I think for most people, 20 to 30 minutes every day could get you to a pretty high level. Everyone's different, right? So how fast they get to that level with 20 to 30 minutes a day will be different. But I'm kind of crazy and slightly autistic about this. And I really like dry fire, so I do like a minimum an hour a day. And lately it's been more than that and multiple sessions, because I've been trying to work on something that I found interesting. Eric Grafell, and I believe Aaron Edens were talking about like training beyond the point of fatigue, right? Because at some point in a match, you are going to be fatigued. Or let's say you're sick. You can't change the date of nationals. You have to shoot it sick. Whatever it may be, right? You have to pull 100% of what you got at that given moment, right? So before, like when I would start to lose focus in my dry fire, I would just stop and call it a session, which would normally be around 30, 45 minutes, right? But I've been increasing it and going beyond that, right? To try to figure out how to pull out the maximum performance and focus I can, even when I'm fatigued and when I'm tired. Because I've been to majors, you shoot all day and you're tired, but you still have to pull out 100% of your focus on stage 14 or 15 or whatever it may be of the day. So I've been kind of playing with that, and I think that so far, I would say I've liked it. I definitely need to do it for more time, but that's also just because I'm crazy. Like, I don't think everyone's got 2 hours plus a day to be dry firing. But yeah, you can definitely get very far with 20 to 30 minutes a day of dry fire only, as long as you're doing every rep with intent and you are assessing every rep very critically. And you have to, like I said, fix the mistakes at the speed you are making them.